Hello and welcome back to another episode of Media Munchers. I'm Athian,
And I'm Adrian.
and oh my God, it's finally here. No
Yep.
way home. But first, we got to
Mhm.
talk about Hawkeye episode 5, Big Apple. We have
Yep.
to eat. We have to eat our vegetables, man. And no, I'm kidding. No,
Are you saying it's a bad episode?
I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I'm saying it's the second to last episode, and with that comes some things. So let's talk about that.
Sure, yeah.
So basically, it starts off. It just cold open, like we're just in 2018, and Yelena is doing her thing, freeing widows as per the events, the ending of Black Widow, right?
Right.
And she's freeing what we think is another Black Widow or former Black Widow, however you want to see him. But she was already freed, turns out, and she's just doing her thing, killing people for money. I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, monetize it, sure. And and so they have a little heart to heart. They're talking about like what they'll do after her mission's over. And then sure enough, she goes to the bathroom and she gets blipped for 5 years. And I'm like, whoa. Well, mainly because of the CG for the paint on the walls. That's really why I went whoa. But other than, I mean, it was also crazy for her because it was like 5 seconds for her. But like she said,
Right.
but it's 5 years. So she has a run in with some girl that she knew. I don't know if that was the same girl as before. The same owner. Was it the same owner?
Yeah,
the blonde
yeah.
girl? She looks so different. I don't know.
Well, because she remembered her.
She did. She was like, oh my God, she's an old friend. But I
Mhm.
thought it was a completely different actor. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
They might have aged her up, or maybe aged her down for either scene.
Oh, I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Okay.
So maybe there was like some makeup
some
changes.
trickery,
Yeah.
some VFX, perhaps methinks. But long story short, she gets the realization. At some point or another, she learns Natasha died for our sins or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm kidding.
So to speak.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And obviously, it doesn't sit well with her. And then at some point down the line, she got that mission from
From
Madame
Valentina Delegra
Delegra,
Fontaine.
that one.
Something.
I need
like
to
that.
learn her name at some point. She finds out the truth about Natasha, and subsequently she's hired to assassinate Clint, we learn throughout the episode.
Uh-huh.
In a really weird, long-winded scene between her and Kate Bishop. I'll never forget her full name. She does it
Yeah.
every time. I'm so glad she called her out on that.
I think that was a nice like character thing
It really was.
going on. But do you think it felt long because it was long, or do you think it was because we were just coming out of seeing
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
And the pacing was much different there.
Yeah, because it's a movie.
I think it's a bit of
versus
both
TV.
because this is made for TV.
Yeah.
They have more room to breathe. It's like a
Right.
6-hour movie, if you would, or I guess a little under, because
Mhm.
each episode's not as long. But yeah, they have more room to breathe, and they can take their time with the character beats. So I think that's why it
Yeah.
felt so long to us. That being said, I still feel like it could have been shortened a couple lines here and there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
maybe.
But
Do you think those were like improv?
I think it might have been because
It
they
felt a
really
little
felt
improv,
natural. Like
yeah.
some of those bits were like, especially with the hot sauce being poured on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, you could script that, sure, but I mean, it was really well done. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but
yeah, she's always funny.
she's hilarious.
Yeah.
The accent got better, I feel.
Yeah,
The
it
accent
did.
it's
I
way
think
more
it did.
consistent,
Yeah.
and it's not as campy, or not campy, but like cheap.
From what I could
tell, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say that she basically she spills the beans to Kate about why she's there, to question her beliefs in Clint, and then
Mhm.
she really dances around what happened with Natasha. Like she assumes that Kate just either knows about how she went down or how she died, or she just basically makes her take her word for it that Clint's just a bad person and he's done a bunch of bad things, and so to speak.
Yeah.
So
But
those
she
are
only has so much to go off of, right?
right. Well,
Like herself.
you talking about Yelena?
Yeah, Elena.
Yeah, I mean,
because she wasn't
like
obviously
there for every little thing that happened.
Yeah, and then
that's-
she just gets the file from Val.
That's true.
So.
But maybe she always had her qualms about him, or maybe she's just really blaming him.
Yeah,
everything, especially Natasha's
who knows
death.
how much she knows Clint beforehand.
That's true. He seemed to
If
know
at all.
Yelena though. Remember later down the line in the episode.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like Nat's sister, and he's like Yelena, and
Right.
he's like, yeah. Oh shit. But finally we get past that scene. She just free dives everywhere with those little zip lines. She's not
Yeah.
afraid to fall.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
her gimmick.
what an exit. Yeah, and then the episode goes on, and Clint's determined to prove. I don't know what he's determined to prove. He's determined to like cut things off before they get ugly, because he keeps alluding to the big guy, which we've been hinted at that it's Kingpin, right?
Yeah.
And he's he even calls his wife about it. And he's like, "Yo, I gotta stop this Maya chick. She's gonna go too far. She's looking into our family and this and that." So in a scene that I thought was gonna get ugly, it doesn't. Like he refrains from killing everyone, but he uses his Ronin skills to subdue everyone but Maya, so they can have like a heart to heart real quick,
Right.
as Ronin to Maya. And then he also drops a big bombshell on her about the true nature of the murder of who hired him, and that turns out to be Kingpin, right? At least that's what he alludes to, right?
I think so. I think that's what
He was like, it was your dad's boss that hired me, or no, an informant for your dad's boss that tipped him off, or something along those lines to that effect. And I was like, whoa, they're really dropping this dude like pretty heavily. And I'm like, is he coming into the fray or what? And you know what I mean? Notice this teasing. And so she questions everything. She even questions her second hand, whatever his name was, her interpreter.
Right.
Yeah, you can figure it out, but it's all good. No, but she even interrogates him about the night. Kazi. She's like, why weren't you there? Like, why weren't you there the night my dad was murdered? He's like, I didn't get the call. I was like, bullshit, dude. You didn't get the call, bro. What? That's a whole big like meeting. And he's like, you good? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, whatever, it's nothing. Like, she's suspicious of him. And this is finally where I think we see the whatever evolution she's gonna go through, since she's getting her own series after this. Right. This is where that seed's planted. Where like, who is she fighting for? Who does she work for? Who's good? Who's against her? And so she's questioning everything, including the people she works with. And so that's gonna be real interesting to see where this takes her down the line. If she ends up working with Clinton against Kingpin, perhaps in the next episode or in a future season or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
It'll be very interesting, Big Apple.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe she'll even take on the Ronin persona. Because I think in the comics that is where her character goes at some point.
At some point, yeah. So I didn't know that, but that could be really
maybe she could
poetic in a way. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's interesting.
Because the way you put her story, that sounds like what
where it's tracking to. Oh, yeah. I see. You're right, because the actual meaning of the word, not just the name.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, we've talked about this before in a previous episode with Star Wars.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really interesting. I'm now I'm invested. Now that we've met her, I'm like, now I kind of care what happens to her and where she goes.
Yeah, and that's weird because that kind of feels like what this whole show has been doing, is setting up a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't know. Do you feel like it's been a Hawkeye show, or do you feel like it's just setting up?
It's interesting you should ask that, because I think it's both, but it's primarily setting up. Like if we had to split it, it's more like 70% setting up the next generation.
Yeah.
Which has been happening since Black Widow, if you think about it. I mean, as lovely as they were, the big six Avengers are like kind of phasing and aging out as the universe expands and branches off. You know what I mean?
Right.
So some are obviously here to stay for at least a little while longer, like Loki, perhaps Thor. You know what I mean? I know Loki was an Avenger, but you know what I'm saying, from the old guard. You know what I mean? Stark's dead. Cap's basically retired. Natasha's dead. Clint's like probably has back problems at this point. You know what I mean? Like he can't keep this up forever. Yeah, that's already 4 out of the 6, right? And who am I missing? No, Thor already mentioned him. Yeah, that's everybody. Yeah, that was a short list. I mean, remember when it was just 6 people?
Yeah.
Now it's like 60. I don't know, maybe more. So all that to say is, yes, I agree with you. It's less about him and more about like passing on the mantle and like the idea of Hawkeye, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I wonder what they're gonna do with her. And of course, at the very end, we skipped over an entire scene, but Kate has a conversation with her mom about looking into Jack and like his shell company, Sloan, whatever, and like how he needs to be watched out for. And so he gets arrested, and now I'm questioning things, because if they are going for the big switcheroo, they've been playing him up to be a villain this whole time, but maybe he's not. Like, maybe he's not. Well, because I don't know anything about him.
You know, it's
a bait and switch.
Yeah, because he has felt very, like, obvious.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, we caught him. We got him. But, you know, who has been playing it close to the vest and subtle is the mom. But we're not dumb. We've been sus of her for a minute.
Right.
Like, there's something about her behavior. She has these tells or this gives, and, like, she seems really aloof and or insincere in many moments. And I'm like, what's up with that? You know what I mean? Like, she claims to be all this. I'm trying to protect you, this and this and that. And maybe those are her intentions. But she's going about it in a very underhanded way, especially working with the mic drop, bombshell of Kingpin at the very end.
Yep.
Elena sends her that text from an unknown number. Like, hey, this is who I either hired her or not hired her, but who your mom has been working with, right?
Right, yeah.
I'm like,
a photo of both of them.
Of both Kingpin and Eleanor Bishop.
Right.
So I was like, whoa. The show has more layers than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Do you feel now on the same question you just asked me? Let's go deeper. Do you feel like all the setup is? Does it feel natural enough? Does it feel a little forced and contrived with Yelena, or is there too many stories for you, or how do you feel about all that?
No, I think it does fit within the context of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of it being a Hawkeye show, I think there have been strong moments.
Sure.
In most episodes, where Hawkeye has the main
Like focus.
focus.
Yeah, of course.
But the whole story doesn't feel like it belongs to him.
That's fair. Yeah. It's again, I felt pretty similar about Black Widow. I mean, it was a little different because she had a sister, so that kind of was like 50% of the split because they built her up as growing up with her, and then they went apart. They had their separate. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like going back to the beginning of this episode, it felt like it was a chunk of Black Widow taken out and then placed here.
Yeah, literally. It felt like it could have been a mid-credit scene or an after-credit scene.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
something
from
like
Black
that.
Widow.
Yeah.
You're right. Completely felt like that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the whole episode in a nutshell. It's doing a lot to build everything past the show up, but also the finale. Like, I'm sure we're in for a really good rootin' tootin' action-packed time next week. I mean, the action in here was good too, but it was just kind of like, we need some action, so let's throw some in. But it had a purpose, at least, with Yelena and specifically the Ronin showing off part at the end with Hawkeye. So at least, like, it didn't feel like mindless or whatever. And not that it necessarily has in past episodes, but you know, it almost feels like every episode needs to have some action. Otherwise, it's not a Hawkeye episode, right? I mean, there's been action in every episode.
I think so.
So nothing wrong with that. It just they need to find a purpose to structure it like that. I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up. But it just did.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. It's eye candy. I like it. So.
Right.
Anyway, that is our thoughts on Hawkeye episode 5 with mild Kingpin spoilers. Sorry, but if you saw the episode,
right.
Whatever. Anyway, we're gonna take a small break and then we're gonna get to my boy, the Speeder Man. Okay, and we're back with our non-spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home, and then we'll get into the spoilers in a bit. So as a whole, I thought what this movie did really well, as long-winded as it was really giving Tom Holland like more depth, I would say, and more like time as Peter Parker, like going through his struggles and like walking two worlds, as Doctor Strange said at one point in the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought this movie, like, it just really showed him off in the best possible light. Well, at times, you know what I mean? Like, you see where I'm going with this? Like, it was a really good, solid piece for him.
The first two Spider-Man films, they felt very group-oriented.
Yes.
Whereas this one was really centered on Peter's experience.
And the responsibilities he has and how he feels about it. You know what I mean? I feel like in every trilogy, there was like a moment where, someone was like, I don't know if I can do this. You know what I mean? So, when the world beats you, you got to beat it back, that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed all those challenges. I remember I was watching one reviewer who didn't like the tone being so serious at the top, and then it switched up and became like the Spider-Man we know and love. I thought the tone was really good throughout the entire film. Like, I felt like it was really true to everything we've seen before with this portrayal of Spider-Man, and everything felt like it had its moments when it wanted to be serious. It wanted to be serious, and then when it wanted to be funny, it wanted to be funny. This movie was the best at that, I felt, than previous movies, maybe Spider-Man movies, but like I know, like for example, Thor Ragnarok undercut everything with a joke. Like his whole planet blowing up, a joke. You know what I mean? Like, so I really like that they let some things play here. And then, I mean, what else can I say? What are you thinking? What else can I say?
No, yeah. It struck me. It struck me because it was very different.
Yeah.
From the first two. First two were like very John Hughes. Inspired.
Yeah.
And this one was. It almost didn't have a tone. Like it just kind of was able to be, what it wanted to be at for that scene in every moment.
Yeah.
And it was able to like ride the wave really well.
It felt like it was, like you said, it was the most sincere when it wanted it to be. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like contrived, or it didn't try and like act like an 80s movie or something that you'd seen before.
It knew what it was at every moment.
It really did. Yeah, I really appreciated that about it. That's all we can say, I think, without getting into spoilers. So we're going to end that section there. I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing here? Go see it and then come back here. You want to just jump right into it, Big Apple?
Sure.
So we'll kind of go from the top. Oh, my gosh. right. I mean, from the beginning, we it's right out of the gates. It's like literally the end of Spider-Man 2, which was what like it was Spider-Man 2 Far From Home, right?
Far From Home.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mysterio just outed Peter Parker. He's like, "What the f?" And then like everyone knows who he
I
is.
like how
He gets
the horn
the
in the-
horn
in the
silenced
background.
him. It would have been cool if they just opened it on "uck" so you could
Right.
start 2 and 3 together, but it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, and then so everyone knows, everyone on the ground's like, "What? Huh? Peter Parker?" And then like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
are you his girlfriend? And like, the whole mob mentality gets pretty crazy. Someone even dies after him. I was like, whoa. And I really like we're thrown into it. We got all the context we needed. We're thrown right into it. We're just as confused as Peter. He doesn't know what to do. Ned's calling him, dude. He's like, dude. And like they have to like get out of there and like use the subways
Yeah.
and all that.
I loved how real it felt when Mary Jane was on, or
MJ
MJ
Yeah.
was on the
on the bridge.
bridge.
She was
yeah.
like, I'm not a super freak. Like,
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm gonna fall. Yeah. And she doesn't like webbing too. She doesn't like swinging.
Right,
But she's
right.
like, no, whatever. Just swing me. Let's go. And he's like, okay. And it felt good. Like I felt, and maybe it helped that we saw it in IMAX. But like when they were like flying and she was just all nervous and it was all first person, like yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Or
it
third
was
person, whatever.
intense,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was intense. It was there. The action was there. They get home. I love that Peter tried to keep it a secret from Happy and May as long as they could. They were having
yeah.
like a weird conversation. Like they were just having a fling. I think they just had their last one night. And then May goes like kicking him out. And then they hear the scuffling. And Happy's like, "Oh, let me come in here. Let me see what's going on."
Yeah.
And then they're having their whole back and forth. And like she's trying to like let him down gently. And all of a sudden, dude, they put it so well. Where she was like, and it sounded like they're getting it on in their room. They're like, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I didn't see. They played all that up so well.
And I love the whole camera work.
Yes,
The whole time
it was like a
with
one
the-
take. The whole
Yeah,
scene was like
yeah.
a one take. I just thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
That was impressive. Like I
Yeah.
felt like a play. I was like, this is great. And like Peter's all like trying to like close the blinds and like dude, everyone's on his case. They all know where he lives. He gets doxxed immediately.
Yeah.
Jameson's going off. I love him, like just rambling the whole time, narrating. And then he's like he's trying to get his mind off. He's like, I just really want to talk about your relationship. And then MJ's like, nah, like it's on the news and like choppers are around. And then it gets serious quick. Like there's a little time skip. And 6 hours go by, and like the cops are at his door, or the DOD or something is there,
Yeah.
or some DODS, whatever. Some
Damage control.
Oh, those
department.
people? They have
Yeah,
authority?
yeah.
I thought they just cleaned up.
Something like that.
Yeah. There's some sort of
it's a
federal
little-
agency.
yeah.
Whatever. They have some sort of authority, and they take him in as well as May and MJ, and they're like, "Don't say anything without a lawyer."
Yeah.
I love that. That was such a good moment, bro. The way the cops got Ned to spill everything by playing up to his ego,
Yeah.
that was golden. Dude, Flash, the greatest switcheroo ever. He
Mhm.
was like, oh, what? And then like he was like, oh, he's my best friend. He writes a book. He's like pushing it on people at school. I'm like, what is this? I like about this movie that they were able to give moments and like kind of continuations of people we saw, minor characters we saw in the
Yeah,
previous Spider-Man.
even like Betty Brant, she was the news.
Yes, even she had her
uh,
moment to shine with the reporting.
Yeah, news reporter. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, we're gonna follow him all year. We're gonna give you the close, up close and dirty and personal.
Yeah.
And he's all at school like, I don't want to be here. And I have more to say about that later towards the end. No, I'm just gonna jump right to it. He straight up doesn't finish high school, and we see like a GED study book. First of all, Spider-Man's a genius. Why does he need to study for the GED? Second of
High
all,
school,
I guess high school. Just a little nerd.
Yeah, to graduate.
It's the GED, bro. Okay, whatever. Anyway, and second of all, I'm like, bro, this is crazy. Where were we? Oh yeah, so like he's at school, he's ostracized. Everyone's like making a scene.
Right,
I like how they brought back the teachers,
Oh yeah, the principal.
Martin
and the-
Starr, and that was the principal, and then like that one coach or something.
Yeah, Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, hilarious. They're all going back and forth. He's like, I made the shrine for you. It's just like this
Yeah.
big awkward thing.
And then Hannibal isn't even having it.
And he's having none of it. He's like, you're a hero, sir. And he's like, or a criminal.
Yeah.
He's not having anything.
He's like, you put that up.
He's like, the kids put this up. He's like, you put that up. Yeah, that was great. Like, I'm saying all these great moments were baked in. It's just like,
yeah.
I'm gonna say it again. This is the first time this movie felt like it knew what it was doing with everyone. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't too many hands in the
It was
pot.
very like direct.
Yes.
Getting like really tight, straight to it.
Yes, everything had every moment, every minute had a purpose in this movie, and it was like
Mhm.
it was really good. There was no fat. Every
Yeah.
minute counted. It didn't even feel like 2.5 hours. I was just like, this is still going great. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
if he finally gets through it, and then they have that moment. We've seen the trailers. He's like, I just want to get away from everything, and then so that's great. They have their little happy space. I love how at the beginning, the first act or two of this movie, every time they tried to kiss, someone would ruin it, like whether it was Ned or someone else. That was great. I love that joke. That's the perfect time to undercut a serious moment because it's just the funny little awkward teen thing.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? Thinking about it now, it kind of reminds me of like The Office.
you think so?
Yeah. Where it has like the funny characters.
Yeah.
But it's like it plays both with the serious moments and the
The comedic ones.
yeah
Yeah.
like that nuanced comedy.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
everything's like obvious root and toot and like obvious
Mhm.
jokes. Like sometimes it's real subtle or situational or like there's a cue or a gag or
Right,
something.
right.
So yeah, it does a really good job of that. Like they really found their especially director John Watts, was it?
Right.
This is his third one, and it feels so tonally different. Like we're saying from the previous
Mhm.
two, that it's crazy how like they knew the assignment is what I'm saying. Like they
Yeah,
knew what
yeah.
they wanted
And
to
the
do.
characters all fit.
Oh, so well.
Yeah.
He's built two movies building them up together. Like the chemistry's all there. Everyone's
Yeah.
chemistry is really good. The next thing we get to at some point in the timeline, after freaking who gets him off the hook with the law? No one other than Matt Murdock, right? Our
Yeah.
boy Daredevil.
Matt Murdock.
Oh my god, dude, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, there was so many great fan service moments. And that ties in to Hawkeye, episode 5, because if he's in the
Right.
universe, and then his Kingpin's in this universe, how long have they been in this universe? Because in Netflix, they kind of vaguely address the Avengers,
Yeah,
right?
they've always vaguely hinted, but never
So,
have
directly
the movies directly
hinted at them.
up
So
until
now we're
Yeah.
actually MCU is actually taking him under the wing, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much MCU integration is in this, because I know they have to have like a case by case and a deal by deal with Sony
Mhm.
for these Spider-Man sharing arrangements. That's kind of why they take well, we're in spoilers. That's kind of why they take Venom back at the end. You know what I mean? They take him
Yeah.
back to the Sonyverse, if you will.
Right.
Because like, are we sharing? Are we not? And that brings up even more questions. We saw Morbius before this, the trailer, and
Mhm.
Tobey Maguire's suit was on the wall. Well, if he's in the Sony universe, why is that on the wall? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
What's up with that?
Maybe Morbius is a part of
Of our universe?
of Toby's universe.
Bro, that's too many worms. There's too many worms in the can,
Dude,
bro.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it just begs a lot of questions. That's all I'm
Right,
saying. I thought
yeah.
I was clever for noticing that, and I was like, what's up with that? Whose universe? Are they all folded in? Are they not? They're playing this will they, won't they, until either Marvel strikes a really expensive deal with Sony, or they
Yeah.
just continue playing this will they, won't they for decades, as long as everyone stays paid. So, but anyway, let's get back to the task at hand. So after that lovely cameo, he even ends with him saying to Happy, he's like, yeah, you're going to need a really, really good lawyer. Dude, they even have that scene where he catches the brick that goes through the window
Yeah.
to protect
yeah.
Peter. And then Peter almost catches it too, because he's ready for it as well. And he's like, whoa, Peter's sense is tingling. So it was all a really good moment. Like, and that was only like a barely 2-3 minute scene with him. And it was just gold.
Dude, it's so crammed in.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
It's stuff.
It's majorly stuff. I think we're like 30
Yeah.
minutes of runtime into it, barely. Out of 2 hours 30.
Yeah.
This is so packed. I'm trying not to forget anything.
It's funny because it kind of contextualizes Spider-Man as like this small character within this larger universe, and I think that's something that maybe fans have felt kind of were kind of missed out of.
Before?
Yeah. Before.
Sorry, I was just turning something off.
Yeah. You're good.
But you're saying like it's we're missing out on the
Because
small character.
like yeah, because it utilizes the fact that Spider-Man, his resources aren't within himself; they're within others that surround him.
That's deep.
And
Sorry.
and so because like obviously he lives in New York, so obviously he would go to see Doctor Strange for help. He would go see Matt Murdock for help.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's all these people around him that
They could help him.
Yeah,
He doesn't live in a bubble like Toby's
Exactly.
did or Andrew's did. They didn't have Avengers
yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, and they really played into that well.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that they build him up so much, and I think that was some of people's complaints when he first came out. He's like, why is he Stark's lapdog? Like, why does he have all these resources, all this money?
Mhm.
Spider-Man's supposed to be the guy on the ground who doesn't come from much, who doesn't have much. He's like an everyday Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, what now? He's just some like tech billionaire's kid, basically. Like, what's up with all that? Stark's dead. After the scandal with Mysterio, he no
Mhm.
longer has to access to Stark database or like certain Stark archives, like facial recognition or anything like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like he has the fancy suit, but that's about it. He doesn't have all the resources he used to have with Edith or whoever he did, whoever he had the AI. So that's really
Mhm.
interesting how they nerfed him in some regards and like made him more grounded, even though he's dealing with multiversal enemies and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's so much. After the Murdoch scene, and then he's off scot free or whatever. People still know who he is, and they have to move into a new place. So they end up moving into Happy's pretty teched out crib, which was cool.
Yeah.
Was it-
Was that Kingpin's room in season 3 of Daredevil?
I'd have to go back and look. It's been so long since I've seen any of that.
Because
Look familiar?
I think it might be
The same set, or you mean like the same building?
the same room.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have to
I
go back
think
and
it
we'll have to look at the archives.
I could be wrong.
Maybe.
Because when they were talking about it earlier or later in the movie, it sounded like maybe it could have been different.
Maybe.
Wow.
Happy seemed pretty adamant that was his crib, but I mean, for how
Yeah.
long,
Right.
So that's interesting. I'll have to look back on that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But what's even cooler is that they're trying to figure everything out. Things are still crazy, and
Yeah.
Happy sleeping on the couch, May's on his bed, and then another great use of that comedy. Like they're having that deep heart to heart. Peter and MJ are on FaceTime, and they're having that like little heart to heart or whatever about everything.
Right. Yeah.
And he undercuts it with like, "Are you done? Like I'm trying to sleep, basically." He's like, "You heard all that?" And he's like, "Hi." It's like another great small moment in like such a big stuffed film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you even go from there? What happens next? There's so much. He goes to see Doctor Strange, right? Is it after he goes to see MJ and they're trying to do the MIT submissions?
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Yeah,
reviewing
and they
it?
get the last letters, and
Yeah, they're all talking
turns out
about
that
they all got declined.
They all no.
It was Peter
no,
got
yeah,
in
all of them got
All of them
declined
got
because
declined.
they all were in association
with
with
Peter.
Peter.
That's right, and they didn't want the school to look bad. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all disappointed together. MJ keeps preaching that weird depressing motto, like if you expect to be
Yeah.
disappointed, then you won't be
Yeah.
disappointed.
You're right.
I was like, all right, or something like that.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
it does. But I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
I like how they they progress the stage of their relationship.
yeah. Like you could tell it's still like budding, amongst all this, and
Mhm.
I can't believe they hadn't gotten to I love yous to this point, but I thought they did. But they're
Right,
trying
right.
to build more, closer and closer, and then like Ned or people like that will pop up, or things keep getting in their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they are progressing it, which I did enjoy. After that, he finally goes to see Doctor Strange, and I feel like the scene went a little bit differently than all the little teasers we kept trying to get. But it was
Mhm.
more or less the same deal. He's like, "Hey, can we go back in time?" He's like, "That's dangerous. Besides, I don't have the time stone." And then we see Wong too with an entirely reshot scene.
Yeah.
It
was reshot.
Yeah, from what I saw, he was like, "Don't do that spell, da 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 da," and they even used that at the very end for the trailer. He never said that in the actual film during the actual runtime. He was like, "Yeah, we learned he was the Sorcerer Supreme on a technicality since Doctor Strange was blipped for 5 years,
Right.
which is cool.
That was a nice thing.
That was a nice touch, yeah."
Nice touch.
And
yeah.
but then he was like, he knew Strange better than to say no, don't do it. He was just like, "I was never here.
Right. Yeah. Leave me out of it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." Like basically,
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting.
like moment or what?
Yeah, like a character choice for Wong to say.
I think he's got bigger fish. But at the same time, why doesn't he involve himself in this if he's the Sorcerer Supreme and multiversal
You think he's
stuff?
like kind of tired of it?
Maybe.
Like,
He's like, I don't get paid enough.
right?
And what
I'm
is?
stretched too thin.
That's what I'm saying. He looked real busy too. What's up with him? Like maybe he's
Yeah,
dealing with
yeah.
the
Well,
multiverse
you
of
know-
madness stuff, right?
Yeah, he was in Shang-Chi.
That's true. He was in Shang-Chi.
He was training
The Abomination.
The
So
Abomination.
he's got the underground anti-hero fight club going on.
Got to make his money.
He's got to make his money. Those sandwiches
Buy
aren't
those
free.
tuna melts.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever he was
Yeah.
eating, he was munching on some of those sandwiches. But yeah, Wong's got his own thing going on. I think it's really intriguing. Let's
Yeah.
see what he's up to in Strange too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how much they're gonna
Feature him?
no how much they're gonna dip into those stories that they've already set up there.
They might be saving it for the whatever show. They're gonna probably have a miniseries with those characters, the Dark
Yeah.
Avengers or whatever they are, whatever
Right.
they're called.
Yeah.
So maybe that. But yeah, Peter finally convinces him to do the spell, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, whatever." And Doctor Strange goes into the spell, and he's like, "Yeah, it's nice knowing you." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, everyone's gonna forget who you are." And he's like,
Yeah.
"What? No. What about all this character development we've had in the last 3 movies?"
I like the writing in this because
Really good, I would say. So on the note of writing, especially for that scene, it was really chopped up for the trailer, but man, it felt so natural here in that scene where he's like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, everyone's gonna forget who you are."
yeah, I like how that tipped him off.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
That small little throwaway line. Nice
Mhm.
knowing you. He
Yeah.
was like, wait, what? He was like, well, I need so and so to remember me, and so and so, and MJ, and May, and Ned's my best friend. And he's like, stop messing with the spell. And he like he
Yeah.
changed it like 5 times. And then of course it starts to go crazy. It starts to, I guess, portals and stuff start to open that you can't
Mhm.
tell in the multiverse, and then he has to contain it. You know what I mean? And so we think it's over and done with. Whatever. Time to go back to just boring old Peter's life. And so everyone got rejected, but Flash got in, as we saw in that scene,
Right.
and he's at that little mixer, and he's like, Flash, like, and then, oh my God, how could I forget? Doctor Strange was like, well, we did our best, Peter. I mean, you got rejected, and you tried again, and then they still wouldn't let you in. You did your best. And he was like, tried again. He's like, yeah, you called
Yeah.
them. He's like, no. He's like, you didn't call them? I'm gonna make everyone forget who you are, and you didn't call them to plead your case? And he's like, no, I didn't think to.
Right.
Like, bro, Peter, you're supposed to be smart, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's such like a inexperienced moment.
Yeah, I love it. That really
Yeah.
shows through with his character. I love that.
Mhm.
Like, he's like, I forget that, like, after all we've been through, you're still just a kid. And I was like, nice.
Right.
And so that was a great moment. So now he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and fix this. He calls up Flash. He has to strike a deal with Flash to swing him to school for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He's like, please, man, I'm just trying to help out my friends get into college. And I really like that he had a purpose for being on that bridge. He's like, yeah, she's going to the airport. And he's webbing over. He's got his little suit. He's trying to look good for her, for the vice dean or whatever it was.
Right. Right.
And he's trying to have a conversation with her. And sure enough, Doc Ock freaking pops up like we saw in the trailers.
Yep.
And it is good. I love that he's corrupted again, or even though he had a moment of like clarity in the end of Spider-Man 2, all he
Mhm.
remembers is being like pulled out of that before he drowns or whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And he's like he's back to evil Doc, because the inhibitor chip's broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Did you think he seemed a little like in and out of that?
here and there,
That trance?
they played it up here and there a little more. Like when,
Right.
I mean, he did a good job of being consistently evil enough through the thing.
Yeah.
But he really was like, even though he's evil, he's not a dumbass. Like, he understands that like the multiverse could be a thing, and he's like,
Right,
he's
yeah.
trying to come on the same terms as this Peter. So like, even though he's evil, he's still the brilliant scientist he is or whatever. So
Mhm.
excuse me. So as they have that whole fight scene, which was amazing, the fight choreo was crazy, especially like spider
Yeah.
arms and the Doc arms together, and like swinging through cars and stuff, and like getting thrown through signs and under the bridge. All that under the bridge stuff was great. Cars flying off, like just really good bridge stuff. Mwah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really dug the fight, and
And it was super creative with the contextualization of the power sets.
yes, it was. I love
how they played with each other.
I love the small moments where like his arms come out and Doc's like, "We got some competition, boys." I
Yeah.
was like, "Let's go." And of course, this whole time he's just trying to do the right thing. He's not trying to impress like that lady or anything.
Right.
He ends
right.
up saving her, through a really lengthy fight. And they even have a moment underneath the bridge where like the nano suit goes on to Doc, and that allows him to control his arms, which is really tight. Like, it just
Mhm.
gets integrated to the Iron Spider suit. And so he ends up using his own arms to like save him and save the woman and like get her out, and just real quick thinking. And he
Yeah.
like uses it to bind himself while he figures everything out. And then she's like, okay, yeah, like I'll talk to them. I'll talk to admissions about you and your friends.
Yeah, she's completely convinced.
She's like, yep, you're a hero.
no,
He's like,
he's
"Wow,
good."
I'm not a hero. He's so humble. He's like, I'm not a
yeah.
hero. And she's like, yeah, all three of you. He's like, oh, me? I didn't do anything. He's all three of you. Just take it. I was half expecting her to say, like, just take it. Just take the hint, Peter. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
now. And she's like almost cussing out Doc Ock, and then she like walks off all flustered. That was great. It was just great stuff.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, and finally, boom! Like, we see a goblin bomb roll into
Right.
pumpkin bomb or whatever roll into frame,
Mhm.
and man, we're like, whoa, it's about to go down.
Yeah, and then Doctor
Raimi's,
Strange
and then
takes
Doctor
him
Strange
out.
says, nope,
Nope.
time for a new scene.
Have it.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that he's really heavily involved at the beginning, especially since
Mhm.
he kind of got into this mess with Peter.
Yeah.
And
And I like how that works for the storytelling, because it really it doesn't keep it going too long.
yes, yeah, it's like we're gonna keep the ball rolling here.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so we've had our action. Now it's time to eat our exposition vegetables. And so we learned about the like the little magical holding cells for the other dimensional beings.
Mhm.
And Peter's like, where am I? What's going on? He's all getting like jump scared by, ooh, like all of a sudden Lizard's there and Doc Ock's now there, and then like
Yeah.
Strange is like, hey, what are you doing? Or whoever the third person, that was Strange, right? Who met him there.
Yeah. I think
And
so.
he just breaks it down for him. He's like, yeah, these people aren't from here. And then Doc, they have a great moment with Doc, and he's like
Yeah.
talking about interdimensional travel or multidimensional travel.
Yeah, he was like astonished by it.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
kind of got it. That's what I really liked.
Yeah, that too.
And and what else? The lizard.
I like how it felt a little bit like horror.
Yes, they played into that. Well,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
trying to figure out where he was, where Peter was.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I felt nervous. I was like, "Where is this guy?" Like, I felt like it was
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. I was like, "Where's this guy at?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I found that thing lurking in the sewers." So he had like a little own lizard fight with him. That was clean.
Mhm.
And then pretty much after that, he kind of gets him up to speed, and he takes his iron spider like nanites or whatever, his nanotech from him, and he puts that spell on it to make it shoot like, I don't know, spell webs, you know,
Right, something
like that to contain the new you know, the visitors, shall we call them?
Right, yeah,
And
to send him off to
the little
his lair.
layer, exactly. I think MJ called it later. What was it, like a wizard dungeon?
Yeah,
I love that. I
like
love
that.
it. It's like, what are you gonna call? What is she, the everyday high school kid, gonna call this other
Right,
than a
yeah.
wizard dungeon? And so after that, it's just he's kind of off to the races. He's got to go like save everyone else, or at least contain them, right?
Mhm.
And
Finds Electro and Sandman.
finds Electro and Sandman. That was good moments. I like that the continuity was all there. Not only did they get the same
Yeah.
actors, but like where Sandman was in his like hero anti-hero arc, similar thing. He's like,
Right,
Peter,
right.
like he saves him. He saves him from Electro.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, Peter, you remember me? And he's like, I'm not your Peter. He's like, not my Peter. What are you talking about? I love that. And
Yeah.
Electro looks good. I liked his upgrade. I like that he's like just looks a lot better. He's not blue anymore. He was blue at the beginning though. I appreciated
Yeah,
that
he
touch.
he was a little bit, right?
Yeah, they were paying homage to
Yeah,
what
when
he
he
looked
was
like.
forming.
Yeah, he's like some blue guy. I like how like
Yeah.
their backseat people in the chair, MJ and Ned, they're like tape the phone.
Yeah.
I like how they also gave a reason for the suit to be inside out, like the black
Right,
suit.
because it was dirty.
Because someone threw like paint
Or
or
some-
something on
yeah,
him
something
or
like
something
that.
like that. So I like that had a justified reason for having a new suit, not just like, ooh, new suit. And even though it was the same suit inside out.
Yeah.
And then they finally got it clean later on in the episodes. I thought it was interesting how after they contained those two, I love the interplay. Jimmy Fox was great as this enlightened Electro, if you want to call him. He felt the different energy on this earth and all that.
Mhm.
And same thing with
It felt like they took him seriously.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
he really did, and he really got some good lines in there. I'm like,
Yeah,
who
he
wrote
did.
this? Like, was this Jamie like riffing off?
Yeah,
of
it was so much better.
It was so much better.
It's so much more natural.
He wasn't corny.
Yeah.
They just let him be him as Electro, and I was
Yeah.
like, yes, more of
It
this.
was
please.
great. This whole movie felt real
Yes,
the entire time.
He-
like these were real people, real situations really happened.
they took everyone like seriously and like
Yeah.
and like sincerely, which was
Mhm.
interesting. Like, cause I remember Amazing Spider-Man 2 being really campy, especially with Electro's dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, it was really like, don't you know, I'm Electro. I'm like, all right. And then the dubstep would kick in, which is like so 2012 or
Yeah.
2014. But yeah, it took everyone seriously. They're finally back at the lair, and I like how everyone's like, the moral ambiguity is there. Like, everyone's confused, and like this Spider-Man's trying to help him. Like, Tom Holland's just trying to help him, and he's like, all right, you know, they explain. Doctor Strange gives him the rundown, and everyone kind of hears it. He's like, you know, they're not from here. We got to send them back. And then they talk about Goblin at some point, and like that tech break-in. I think that's when Peter has to go after him at some point or whatever. And he's like, "You're out there chasing ghosts," said Doc Ock. He was like,
Right,
he was
yeah.
like, he should be dead. Osborn should be dead.
Right, yeah,
and-
because by his timeline.
He is.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
funny how he's almost putting the pieces together before Doctor Strange comes out and says it in either a later scene or that scene, where
Mhm.
he's like, what does that mean for me if he's dead? You know what I mean? They're all putting it together, these different multiverses. And then finally he comes out and says it, and it's like, well, we're all destined to die. Peter's
At
like,
least most of them.
most
yeah.
of them, yeah, exactly. Peter's like, well, I'm gonna try and help y'all. I'm gonna try and fix it. And Doctor Strange is like, there's no fixing it. They gotta go back, Peter. And then he realizes what that means, and like impulsively he has to like try and save them. And then they have that
Yeah.
crazy fight with him and Doctor Strange, going through the Mirrorverse. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. He's like doing the portals like we saw in the trailer, and like Spider-Man webs himself.
Mhm.
And I love again how they actually let Peter's smarts shine through. Remember the Archimedes spiral when they're fighting over the Grand Canyon?
Whatever that's called.
So yeah, whatever that is, that spiral, that mathematical equation or whatever.
yeah, I love how they always have done that.
Yeah.
And they really utilized his brain well.
Yeah. And it wasn't like over the top. It was like practical stuff he
Yeah.
might have learned in school or whatever.
Yeah, it was cool.
And it was really neat. And he used that to defeat Doctor Strange. I was like, ain't no way, because like it looked like a crazy fight. And
Yeah.
like, Doctor Strange had him on the ropes at times. And like, dude, hold on, we got to talk about when he got punched into his astral form. Dude, remember when the spider sense was still working?
yeah.
Even though his like soul.
They even like showed it around his head.
Yeah, the tingle,
aura.
like in
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, like they literally visualized it. I was like, yo,
Mhm.
all right, all right, all right. So I was with it. I was with it.
Yeah, it was dope.
I mean, everything was just eye candy, fan service. And stuff
And I
like that.
like how that affected his ability uh to like control his astral form.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was able to go back into his body
Yeah, he like
by
swam
his
to
own
it.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was crazy. And then he got back into it before Strange could even get the cube, and he was just off the
Mhm.
races, and he was like out of there. And then
Yeah.
that whole big fight, I was like, dude, what in the world am I watching? This is crazy.
Yeah.
And we see more of it later. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but like he is really strong. Like even though he gets beat up a lot, like this dude can like Spider-Man's strong, dude. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy how nimble and quick thinking he is. So the fight finally resolves with him leaving Doctor Strange trapped there, taking the sling ring,
Right.
and like yeeting out of there with the portal. I think he chucks it to Ned or whatever, and then they have that the dap up moment, and there's a little spark, and they hint at that, which is really great foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Just a
yeah, I
little
love
subtle
that.
thing, and I saw it, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm like, all right, and
Yeah, this movie does it time and time again.
time and time again,
Throughout.
and it's
throughout
good.
the-
It's well placed. We got to get to that. What's up with that? This dude can like through portals by the end of the movie. What's up with that?
Yeah.
He said my nana says we have magic in our family line. He even hints at that when he goes in there. So do you think he's gonna become some sort of like sorcerer or something?
I don't know. I mean, it could hint at him becoming a hobgoblin at some point.
But what does that have to do with magic and sorcery?
I don't know.
Well, I guess that's for us to find out. Anyway, I just thought if nothing else, it was really cool fan service. If it's just nothing
Yeah.
more than that, it was really cool seeing Ned have some like sort of ability.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Dude, but here's the thing about that too. They even say when they're talking about later in the movie, Ned's like, I promise not to be a villain.
Right.
They try and kill you. I was like,
yeah. He was scared because he was gonna.
yeah,
Like all the other friends
we're like that.
were dying.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We're shying away from it. It's spoilers, but whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. So that's done and over with, and I don't even know where we are in the timeline, to be honest with you. This movie is so long and so dense. The next thing I remember after that was at some point, our Green Goblin, he ditches the old mask because he's like his good side is like fighting his bad side, and he like breaks the glass and the glass mask or the clay mask, whatever it is, the metal mask, and we think that part of him's over, right? Like, or not over, but at least put away for now. It's laughing and cackling at him, and he's like, he needs to find help. And as we see on the billboards, the Feast signs, which is like a major organization that's kind of like, it helps people, right? It's like a
Like doesn't May work for them?
Yeah, it's like a charitable organization.
Yeah.
And they help people off the streets and like give them food and whatever, shelter. It's like a shelter. And May works there, and he comes in to see her, and that's when May calls Peter, and he's freaking out. He's like, yeah. He says someone's looking for you or whatever. Like basically alludes to the fact that it's someone who's asking for him that's from another dimension. I forget the exact dialogue. And he comes in thinking she's in danger. He's like, what is he doing here? And he's all like, he's just like a sick. He's like a sick old man, and he's like, and she's like, are they all like this? Like, what's wrong with him?
He's like bewildered.
He's bewildered, and he's not right mentally too. Like
Mhm.
I can't diagnose him, but something's not right with him. Besides the fact that he's from another dimension, you know what I mean? So poor guy, we feel for him a bit. He's like, I love the comic relief. He's like sneaking donuts into his pocket as
in
they
the
have
background.
this heart to heart.
Yeah, I love how it's like blurred out.
Yeah.
You
You can still make out what he's doing. Dude, the whole audience love that. They love that so much. And so she's like, look, and then this is when she starts drilling those lessons home. She's like, Peter, like, he's like, I gotta send him back, May. Like, they're not my problem. Like, Peter, we help people. Like, you know, like he's like, it's not my problem. She's like, it is. This is what you do. You help people. And like, I really like that they were driving that message home because it becomes really prevalent later.
Yeah.
And
I love how they really make a reason for why Aunt May is important.
Yes. Like actually, like exactly. I thought it was nothing more than just like, it's her aunt, like, you know, but like she has a big role to play in this movie.
Yeah.
So after that, it's decided he walks back or whatever. Like they drive back in the little feast truck to the to Doctor Strange's lair, and he walks in, and then Doc Ock's like, son of a gun, it's Norman, and he's like, Otto, how you doing? Blah 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 blah. Like, you're dead. And he's like, no, I'm not, or whatever. Something they have something to that effect. Yeah. And everyone's kind of caught up to speed, and then Spider-Man is just like, Tom Holland's just like, yo, like I'm gonna try and help you guys. Like I'm not trying to send you back, but it's like you gotta work with me here. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to. If it's either go back and die, which we can do at any moment. We have the cube, or you do let me help you, let me fix you. And like half of them aren't convinced. Like I know Electro's really not convinced. The Lizard's definitely not convinced. I don't think. Sandman's kind of indifferent. He just wants to go home. I believe. Doc Ock's like
he wants to get back to his daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock's
Electro was kind of liking where he's at here.
Yeah, he likes the power he feels, and like you see the lights flicker at one point. So like he really likes this universe. Um, and then sure enough, like I think the next thing we're seeing is them walk into Happy's apartment, right?
Yeah.
And then like Happy sees it on the footage and he calls Peter and he's like, "What is this? What is this cyborg you got walking in
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Some mud man." I love the names people come up with these for these villains and stuff when they don't know their actual comic book names. Like it's
Yeah.
really creative. I like it. It's like what real people would say. And they're finally all in there, and then we get to see like their smarts at work, especially Peter's, and he's like the first person we're gonna tackle is Doc Ock because they go over it. They use that big suit creating machine from the previous movie, The Far From Home, that Stark Tech.
You're right.
It has an arc reactor
in
in
the jet.
it. Yeah, in the jet. And it can like manufacture pretty much anything almost or something like that to that effect. It can do a lot. It's a mobile laboratory.
He was vague about it. But yeah.
It's the magic box machine that can fix our movie's problems.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And it was tight. It was really cool seeing Good Goblin and Peter hard at work doing science. Remember they had a cute little moment where he's like, "Hey, if you don't mind the multi-dimensional commute, like I can have a job for you back at Oscorp."
Yeah, it was really cool because it reminds me of how he felt about Peter in his universe.
Yeah, like he saw his potential and all that good stuff. Similar thing with Ock too. When in Sam Raimi's, like the second one, like he saw that he was a bright kid and
they all see the potential within him.
Yeah, that was really solid.
Yeah.
Sorry, and so they fix Ock, and they put that new inhibitor chip on and the new improved one in on him.
Yep.
And it's really dramatic. Like it's like it doesn't work for like a solid minute. Peter's like, Doc, you good? And then he finally comes back and he's like, I'm back. Like, and it's like, good Doc again. So as I was saying, they finally put the inhibitor chip on Doc, with the help of
Green Goblin.
Green Goblin. Yeah, he has a name. I forget it. Osborn. Anyway,
yeah,
Osborn and Peter.
Dr.
Osborn. He corrected Peter at one point. Yeah, Dr. Osborn.
Yeah, they all do.
They all do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I like that trope.
You do?
They brought it with Doctor Strange and they.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of funny interplay between Doctor Strange and Peter with the sir and not sir thing. That was really good. Steven and sir.
Yeah.
A really good job of that this movie too. But so they finally they fix him and he's back. He's like the good old jolly one we remember from when he was good in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, like I'm back. He's even talking to Osborn about it. He's like really happy about it, and everyone seems kind of affected. Like Electro's like, oh shit, like if he can fix him, maybe he can fix me, but maybe not. He's the most apprehensive out of all of them, and of course, Sandman too is just there, kind of like, whoa, this is crazy. But he's on board with it. He's like, whatever helps us get back to our universe. That's all he cares about. Is getting back to his universe. Right. His motivation is clear and strong, and so.
I like how they did that with each character.
I like that they all had something they were fighting for, or relatively speaking.
Yeah, and I was really curious going into this how they would handle each character. Yeah. And if would they just be a cameo or and be like very much in the background, or if they would be well represented. Right. And I think this movie did it.
I think this movie played up the people who were the most important or relevant or who needed the most justice done to them. You know what I mean? Because if you could argue like the Lizard and Sandman didn't have much to do, but to be fair, Sandman's story was mostly resolved by the end of 3. Right. You know what I mean? Like how much more can he need to do? Does he need to do besides go back and see his daughter? And then with the Lizard, that's such a nothing ending. Like, didn't he die at the end of it?
Well, no, he didn't. He was put to prison.
He was put away.
Because remember, Andrew Garfield said he had cured him.
He did say he had cured him. Spoiler. But no. But it's true. He did cure him. Yeah. But he's like, I did this once, I can do it again. Right. You're right. So anyway, the next person on the bucket list not the bucket list, but the task list to fix is Electro. And so he uses some sort of like device to try and drain his energy down to like a normal human level as opposed to like crazy amounts of energy. And at first, you could really tell Electro's on the fence about this. He was like, I don't know about all this shit.
Because he likes that power.
He does. He loves the way it feels. He's never been more empowered, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's really apprehensive about it. And I love the storytelling thing of the lights. Like when it fills up, it'll be done. And it gets really close. And then guess what?
It's like Peter's before.
Peter's out. He's in the other room. He's like, I'll be right back. I just got to do this one thing. I'll come back and check on you. Which was, you can tell. I was like, oh, he's going to rip it off. He might. Yeah. And so he goes to the other room to work on the next device, and sure enough, bro, this moment he plays into the horror again. It was crazy. He looks up real seriously. He's like, he is not having it. He's like, I didn't know it till about halfway through his walk that it was his spider sense. Like I knew it was, but I was like, what's going on, Fro? Did he hear something, or is it like a feeling? I've never seen such a visceral representation of his spider sense. Like if it was a noise,
it was deafening.
it was deafening. Exactly. You could literally. That's all he could. He was just like possessed. Peter in the background. Peter, what's going on? And
you could see and feel the noise.
And I love that the camera was. It felt like it was almost mounted. He walked into the other room with it, and he's just like he was dead serious. There's no jokes, nothing. And I love that they kept it like just they played it straight through. And he turns and he's like looking at who the suspect is. And I'm like, does he hear people coming in from another universe? What is making his spider sense tingle this hard? And sure enough, he's looking and he looks over at freaking Green Goblin. And then, bro, I don't even know what happens. He like reaches for a device or a bomb or something, right?
I think so.
And then like Peter, like he's like he didn't want to do it, but he had to like either web him or something. And he goes right into it. And he's like, "May go," and then you can tell. And he goes into that whole spiel. Evil Goblin comes out. And he's like, "Oh, I saw him from, weak Norman's eyes and, the coward, blah, 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 blah." And he's basically going on a villain monologue. And he's like, these powers aren't curses, they're gifts. And he's like, you should just take what's yours or something to that effect. And Electro, that resonates with him because he rips that thing off right at the last second. And Marco's like, no, or whatever. And then, bro, it's just pandemonium. I mean, like,
it gets insane.
It gets crazy. And I was like, yeah, this was a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson
is pulling up, trying to capture some incriminating footage. He's really he's at his neck, and then I don't know, for whatever a story reason they left the lizard in the car, but that was probably for the best, I guess.
Well, he wanted to stay in. I think
he wanted to, right? He stayed in the shot.
Probably like he's more.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna do?
Like you're gonna notice.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna notice Doc Ock too. To be fair.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Well.
Yeah,
a
dinosaur
you
lizard.
can hide him in a trench coat or something.
Yeah, you're right. We can hide him in a trench coat, a little top hat. I'd like to buy a movie ticket, please. Anyway, regardless, it goes crazy. I don't even know what the action sequence was, but it was crazy. It was basically like Doc Ock gets flung out by Electro at some point, and he's like climbing on the walls and swinging. The lizard goes crazy. Goblin's at Peter's throat. They're fighting. Dude, they're busting through they're busting through floors, through walls. Through the outside little.
I love the
power level,
the style of fight that Green Goblin, because it kind of felt similar to what it was like in the original fight.
Right.
Where it was very like basic.
Yeah, he was rocking them and socking them, bro. They were 1-2, man. He was giving it to Spider-Man. Spider-Man was just trying to like.
The action throughout this whole movie was amazing.
Solid. I didn't have a problem with any of the fight scenes. Dude, I was bananas. There was parts where I was so overstimulated that I literally lost entire like sequences, like phrases of fighting. And I came back, I'm like, what just happened? Like it was just crazy. It happened more towards the end when it was like really big and chaotic. But I was just like, I like zone out and I come back. I'm like, what am I living through right now? This is history. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, dude, oh my God, Goblin is giving it to Peter. Like, and we get to see how durable they both are because they're getting thrown through floors, like I was saying. And they finally end up crashing to the ground floor as Aunt May is trying to make it out of there with the antidote for Goblin, right?
Yeah.
And, they just got done synthesizing that or whatever. And she makes it to the bottom floor, knowing that that's what they need to cure him. So, like, she's got to hold on to it tight. And they end up slamming to the bottom, bro. And oh my God, dude, Goblin's going crazy. Like he's like testing Peter's every limit. He's beating him up good. Aunt May gets caught in the crossfire basically, and he's like, May, you gotta go, please. And he's holding him. Goblin's holding Peter up, and he's like, please, May, just leave. And because he knows what comes next. And sure enough, he calls his glider, which I guess he gets from that facility or whatever.
Right.
Which was really interesting. Who's manufacturing that in this universe? That's sus. That's really sus.
Wait.
The glider. It was just a military tech thing.
It's his, isn't it?
There's no Oscorp in this universe. They said in a throwaway line.
Well, he brought it in. He brought it through the.
Oh, you're talking about that. Then who was trying to steal military tech? Was it like the bombs, you think, or suits? If he came with everything, then there was a throwaway line where Peter had to go search for some military tech, and I thought it was Goblin.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. The moral of the story is he had that glider come in, and bro, it like ripped through Aunt May. I was like, bro, she's like. How was she still walking and talking? Like, I thought they were going to, like, say that she was, like, just chilling. And because that and the pumpkin bomb, I was like, bro, she just got, like, whammy. She's just a human. She's not Spider-Man. I'm like, bro, there's no way she's just walking and talking and shaking. But she was in shock, and rightfully so. She must have had, like, something impale her or, like, hit her. Maybe the glider's blades or...
Yeah, I love how they played that whole...
They played it close to the vest because you didn't know what was coming next. I was like, oh, they're not going to kill her. they're not gonna kill Aunt May. Nah. There's too much death in this. Nah, not gonna.
I knew it.
You knew it was coming?
Once she got up
And she was
she was
shaking or
like
whatever?
just walking.
You knew like it was too good to be true.
No,
Yeah, you're like you're
Just
not getting up from
gonna-
that. Dude, they were playing me, bro. I was like 50-50 on it. I was like, can he just swing her off to safety in time? Nah, she loses enough blood to like almost faint. And dude, I love how Peter's in like such disbelief and shock that he's like, there's no way she's dying. Like there's just this can't be
Yeah.
happening. And he didn't say that with his words. He said it with his actions. You know what I mean? He's like, come on, mate. And they really draw it out. Like they really draw it out that part.
Yeah.
And bro, it's so sad. And then of course like the cops show up or whatever, and like Happy's trying to warn them, but he can't. He's getting arrested.
Yeah,
And-
and then he sees and
What happened? He knows what's up as soon as he sees it. I was like, bro. And dude, on top of that, Peter like straight up gets lit up by a couple of the cops. I'm like, is he a vigilante or not? Like, do you guys not mess with Spider-Man anymore? I thought everyone was just living with his identity, but I guess they thought all the destruction was his fault, right?
right.
And so like shoot to
that.
kill or something to that effect. I'm like, he's getting lit up. His aunt just died in front of him. You know, cut him a break. But we can't forget, not before she gives him that speech. Literally, the great responsibility. Great power comes great. Well, she says it in different words, but she says
Yeah.
with great power comes great responsibility.
Right. Yeah.
And at first, I was like, why'd they do that? But the delivery was convincing enough, and I was like, okay, I guess.
Well, I find it interesting because in the comic books, Ben, right, Ben,
yeah, Ben Parker.
Uncle Ben,
Mhm.
he actually didn't say that.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of those non verbal bubbles.
Oh, I
in
see.
in the comic.
Yeah, it was just kind of like something like someone would think.
It wasn't to anybody.
It was just
particular,
like a saying.
Contextualize the
What's going on.
stage.
Wow, that's a good Easter egg. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I found it like kind of cool that they switched it up.
Yeah. They recontextualized everything, and it played to great effect because we thought he already got that speech. We assumed because it's
Right.
happened in every Spider-Man movie since. They're like, he probably got the Uncle Ben thing. He probably went through the ringer with all that.
Mhm.
Maybe this Uncle Ben didn't even die because of Peter. Maybe he died for something else, or maybe it was cancer. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah.
like,
and he did say something to the same effect in what was it Homecoming
yeah, he did say
Right.
something. He said something
to
to RDJ, to
yeah,
Iron Man. Yeah, he
Iron
said
Man.
something along those lines, right?
Something
It
like
wasn't.
that.
with
It
great
was
power.
like longer.
Yeah, it was way more longer winded. He was like, I just feel like if I have these powers, I should use them or something like that. You know what I mean?
When
Something about helping the
Uh,
little guy. It was some sort of speech.
yeah, when you can help the little guy but you don't, and the bad things happen.
Yeah.
Then
The bad things happen because of you,
those-
right?
Yeah, they happen because.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially that's what he said. Yeah. So I feel like he like almost lost his way a little bit here because a lot's
Right.
writing on this. You know, he's just trying to go to college with the people he loves. You know what I mean? Like he's not
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to necessarily like handle other people's problems, and he kind of made
Mhm.
more problems for himself by trying to fix everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been dealt a crappy card, and he's just got to get through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, he's that really poignant moment. She dies. I'm like, bruh, they just killed Aunt May on me. I'm over here tearing up, and sure enough, he gets lit up with a couple bullets, and then he's next moment he's gone, right? And we don't hear from him. It's just back to MJ and Ned. I think the next scene, like Lizard makes his escape, and it's just MJ and Ned, and bro, that's it, right? That's the scene, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the scene, bro. Dude, the audience
Dude.
went nuts. Ned is like trying to just, I wish we can get to Peter. Should we press this? You know, MJ's like, I gotta press this. Like, I haven't heard from Peter. Like, we gotta
Yeah.
nix these enemies. And bro, he does the
He's
sling
getting
ring.
nervous.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous, dude. You know what was so well done about that scene is that MJ's anxiety became my anxiety. I really felt like in that moment, I was like, bro, like maybe they should push that button. Like, I don't know what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
And so he sling rings. He's like, I need to find Peter Parker. And sure enough, he opens up a portal. And dude, the crowd went nuts before I could even register what happened. It was like we see a Spider-Man like in this alley.
I knew at that moment.
You knew it was coming?
gonna happen.
You knew it?
was like, yeah, that's it.
You think that's it? And sure enough, we got freaking Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker coming through in his
Yeah.
full garb. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, sling ring. Did he pull him from the other dimension? But then we learned through their whole interaction that no,
Uh-huh.
he was also teleported there or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, so he's been there just kind of roaming the streets. I'm like, just not making yourself known for the past. It's been like a number of days. You just
Yeah.
all right, but
Yeah, it
plot,
was weird.
plot's got a plot. So so yeah, he comes in. They have this amazing interlog between them, and like they're all in disbelief. They're like, "You're not Peter Parker." He's like, "Well, I don't have any ID on me." She's like, "Prove it." MJ's not convinced at all. And he does like the little hand thing, and then of course that great moment when Ned's
Yeah.
mom or whatever, or his nana,
Yeah. Right.
and
Yeah. Asking for
the cobwebs.
The
Of
cobwebs.
course, it's cobwebs. I love that. And I'm just like, this is crazy, and it feels so. It's been so long that it's so weird, like seeing where his character's at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Check on that. Oh, it's my dogs. Those are my dogs.
Oh.
They're good. No, like I was saying, it's been so long since we've seen Andrew Garfield's portrayal that it's really weird to see where he's at as Peter because it's
Right,
his
yeah,
present.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He.
Because they both did age up. Right?
Oh yeah, they definitely both aged up. They got him
Yeah.
from their present. You know what I mean? Same thing with Maguire, who we just get moments later, when he tries to do it again, which
Yeah.
was great. I loved everything about that scene. It was a really good way to introduce them. There wasn't like I don't know, Portals-esque from like Endgame. Like,
Mhm.
hey, we're just here. Like, no, like they had to get on
Yeah,
the same
it wasn't
page.
like hammy.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
No, they had to get on the same page.
Yeah.
I was so surprised how calmly they played, especially Toby's. Like he was just chilling. He's like, hi, I'm
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah, he wasn't even like in costume.
No, that's what I'm
Just
saying.
like-
He was just like in a normal, like,
Yeah, man.
he's what's going on. And then I really loved how like their spider sense tingled or something, and then they got into
Yeah.
that quick exchange. That was so fast, I couldn't even make out what was going on. Like they did a couple
Mhm.
flips together. It was webs being flicked. I was like, what's going on here? And
Yeah, they both like
they just traded some attacks and some
Right.
defense. I don't know. They sparred. What do you want to say?
Mexican style.
Oh yeah. It felt like that
Yeah.
because I was like, what's gonna happen here? I thought it was gonna be a
Yeah.
little bit longer of a fight scene, to be honest. I
Right.
thought we're gonna get into it, but nah, it's not.
I didn't think at that moment because
Yeah, of course.
you gotta respect that.
That's fair. And I think they did, which was really polite. She was like, you gotta clean this
Mhm.
up. And I was like,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
says you gotta clean
And
this up.
then Andrew Garfield.
It's like, of
immediately
course,
started-
He's still a Boy Scout to this day. He's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, he's getting everything cleaned up. And then sure enough, I don't even know how they were talking about like they're basically, I thought they were gonna straight up say like a bat cave or something. They're like, where's somewhere we go? And they're like, oh, he's like, Peter was the Chrysler building, right? Peter. Maguire's Peter was like, oh, it's the Chrysler building for me. Or
Oh
something.
right.
They're
The special
place
they
where they go
to
to
when
just
they-
to brood and
Yeah.
be with themselves. And what was it?
and MJ knew where that was.
Yeah.
Peter.
They said,
Or
but
the
I still they
Peter.
still had the great little moments like with Andrew Maguire, Andrew Garfield.
Tobey Maguire.
No, Tobey Maguire had his Chrysler building.
Right.
Andrew, not Maguire. Andrew Garfield had the Empire State Building, better views,
Yes. Yeah, better views.
of course. And then MJ knew, like you said, exactly where to find
Right,
our
right.
Peter, or I guess the MCU Peter, and
Yeah.
Peter won. No, because that's what they call him. Peter 1,
Right,
2, and 3.
yeah.
And so yeah, they go to that same spot on the school roof, and man, he is, bro. It brought me like back to tears. He is like just broken up there. He is just everything's gone almost. And dude, the fan service
Yeah.
still comes to us. We have Ned and MJ come and hug him and console him. They're shedding tears. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop. I'm crying. And then
I like how healthy their relationship.
really healthy. It's not contrived. Nothing's forced. Like it's all
Yeah.
very natural. I really like
Mhm.
that. And of course, our Spider-Men make their entrance. It was so cool. There's like one in a suit, and then like one like in his youth pastor outfit.
Yeah.
And they're just on top of that little thing, and they swing down, and like Peter instantly knows what's up. He's like, "Oh, okay, they must be Spider-Man, right?" And then he's going through it, and he doesn't want to hear it. And I thought that was really good writing. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear the
Yeah.
speech about how I know you went through da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And
then
naturally,
they respected.
they did. And
Yeah.
then naturally, like it kind of flowed into their stories with their Uncle Ben's,
Mhm.
and I really love that moment when he was trying to come around with the great power and great responsibility, and like I love like
Right.
that close up on Maguire, and he's like
Yeah, he
he
instantly,
instantly knew the
clicked.
line,
Yeah.
yeah, and then that I think brought them all closer together, especially they all knew what was up, without saying it,
Mhm.
and it was really touching. And somehow or another, they all get on the same page, and the next thing you know, they're in
Yeah.
like the school science lab, like working up cures for everybody. And that was such a good scene too. I mean, everyone's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, it
catching
was.
up. They talk about the love life, the relationships. I think that's when Ned learns about the whole like, what happened to your best friend McGuire? He's
Right,
like,
right.
he became a villain, tried to kill me. He's dead now.
Yeah.
And Ned was like, I love you, Peter. He gave him his little stuff and like kind of
Right,
waddled
right.
away. I was like, I love it. I love how broken Garfield's character was. Not broken, but like he's been battered and he's lost everyone. It feels like, except for maybe May. He lost the love of his life. He's lost
Yeah,
his
he's
Uncle
still
Ben.
consoling.
Yeah, and I love how
Yeah.
like he was still grieving, and it's a
Yeah,
little fourth
yeah.
wall breaking, but he doesn't have much self worth. You know what I mean? Like he just feels kind of like the lame-o Spider-Man, and like I get it. I get why they do that. But yeah, and he's talking about like how like Gwen died in front of him, and I think he asks about Maguire's Mary Jane. He says it's complicated.
Right.
How did it
right.
end in the third one? I thought they were happily ever after. How is it so
No,
complicated?
no, because remember that the third one. That's when he hit her.
That's right. He did it.
And so when they left off, she was singing, and he was respecting
Bruh. But
her.
it sounded like it all worked out from what this.
Well, no, yeah, I think it's funny because he's always said it's been complicated,
It's always been
and
complicated.
it's always been complicated.
Yeah, I
their
think even
relationship in those.
Garfield's Spider-Man said
movies.
something to that effect. He's like, it's always. It's like I don't have time for Peter. He's like, it's always complicated with Peter.
Yeah, he can't handle Peter.
Yeah.
The Peter life.
And he even said later that he I think it was during the big fight or something that he went dark. You know what I mean? Oh, he said it during the
Mhm.
little heart to heart that he
Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
caring after a while. Like he stopped pulling his punches. And I was
Right,
like,
right.
whoa.
Yeah, he got aggressive.
He got aggressive. He started probably killing people is what he said right there, basically.
Yeah.
Pulling your punches on little like petty thieves, you know? Like
Right,
full
right.
Batman on this guy. But
Which later, when it's revealed that he saved or cured
Connors.
that was a surprise moment.
Yeah. You saying
Like,
the second time or the first time?
What do you mean?
When you're saying
No. When they were surprised about him saving,
Connors, like when he was
Previous.
cooking it up in the lab and he was like, what?
like he
Like,
already
no
did
big
that.
deal. They're like,
Yeah, he already did.
what? Okay. And they're like, all right, we'll leave that to you then, I guess. Whatever. I love how
Yeah.
reserved Maguire's Spider-Man was here. I guess because there's not much
Mhm.
more story to tell. But with-
Yeah, he was like almost like sitting.
It was literally chilling. He was like in
Yeah.
neutral, just cruising, letting the car roll its wheels. Like he was chilling.
Yeah, he was like wise to.
Wise
to
to
the-
everything. And it was really weird seeing modern Toby. He like does not look young anymore. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Bro, the fan service was immaculate here. They did all kinds of stuff. I think during the big final fight, he was like, my back. It like
Right,
and then they had him
yeah.
pop his back. It's from
Yeah,
swinging,
yeah.
but they made it natural. They didn't make it like all campy and stupid. Like it was like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's from all that swinging. And they did the
Yeah,
little
and
spider.
then Andrew Garfield gave.
He's like, I got you, man.
Yeah.
Like just all these little bro spider moments were really clean. They finally cooked together all the solutions and cures for everyone, and they're like, okay, we're gonna, we'll do that little call with J. Jonah Jameson. We're gonna lure them all here with the box, and we have our little plan in place. And I really like how when this all goes down, they don't really know how to work as a team. Like they start with the fight, things are a little wonky and weird.
Yeah, they keep
like
running,
running into each other,
and
messing up.
messing each other's
Yeah.
webs.
Yeah, all kinds of
Yeah.
small touches like that, and they're really kind of losing the battle. And so they
Right.
finally get a moment, and they're like there's like a middle of a sandstorm or something, and they narrow down everything. He's like, I'm with the team. I've been on the team. Like I have the most experience. I'm with the Avengers, and like who's that?
Yeah.
What? And they also that's funny. Another Hawkeye reference too. Even Yelena was like, who cares? Like, why is there's so much weight in this word Avengers? Like, it's just really interesting how all these different people
Right.
perceive the people we've known as
Yeah.
heroes all this time. You know what I mean? Who only do good or try to at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, they come up with a plan. Holland is Spider-Man 1, Maguire is 2, and then Garfield's 3. I was like,
Yeah.
nice. Just a little more disrespect on his name. And he's like, 3? Oh, okay. And they're going around, they're doing their thing. Bro, the fan service was so great. The way they jump off together in unison, the slow-mo's there.
Yeah,
Dude, they're
that was
webbing
nice.
people up, they're fighting.
And they all land in
Yeah,
that
the little
superhero
pose, superhero pose.
Yeah.
Dude, they earned it. They earned the superhero pose, Big Apple. They earned
That
it.
was
I
nice.
loved it.
It
It was man, there's so much. The fight was crazy. There's all these nuances and details. I love how it takes
Yeah.
some time, but they have to focus on one person first. I think who was their first enemy? Was it Electro, or was it
No, I think it was
was it the Lizard? No, it wasn't Lizard.
no, they separated the
I think it was
maybe it was Electro.
I think it might have been. I feel like he was the first
Who
person to be
else was-
neutralized
Yeah, it was. I think it was just them.
because he had to
Like-
web up the Lizard because he was like one of the last people. Sandman
Right.
wasn't really an enemy. Doc Ock wasn't an enemy, so it had to be Electro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
Electro. They got him first. It took a lot. They cured him, if you would. And then, dude, there were so many moments. Before even Ned and MJ even get to the scene, they I think Sandman went evil for a moment there for whatever reason, and so Maguire had to fight him again. Yeah, I think
like
something
that,
to the
right?
effect of, was it? I don't know. For some reason he went evil, and so Maguire had to take care of Sandman, right? And so they threw that
he
device to
was-
him, and then he had to do that little whip thing, and it made him normal again. It made Marco
Mhm.
normal again.
I think he was frustrated with them not making the decision. Press the button.
and that had to do with Goblin blowing it up. Then
Well, he wanted to get the box.
right to press the button to go home.
Sandman.
Yeah, he did want to get the box. Yeah.
Because he wanted to press it.
He did. He wanted to go home and see his daughter. Don't forget that.
Yeah. So I think he.
That might have been it. Whatever reason, we needed to see him
Yeah.
fight, so they figured it out.
Yeah.
I guess he's gonna have to deal with it. And then finally, we get Kurt Connors cured with the help of Ned and MJ, because he's like portaling some water in, and they're all running from the scaffolding. It was really good. Everyone's getting their little moments to shine. I like the moment between Andrew Garfield and Max. And he's like, I was a nobody. Here I'm somebody. He's like, you were never a nobody. And he's like trying to like talk him off the edge, if you would. So I still love that they were maintaining that.
Lizard.
So yeah, with the cure, the injection.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Ned's help and MJ's help, they finally get the injection into the lizard. And I think who actually did the injection? Was it Holland or was it Maguire? Or
I think it
Garfield?
was Garfield.
It was, right? Like here that moment. No,
I think so.
no, it had to be Holland. It was Holland because I think that's when Doctor Strange magically comes back through a portal that Ned had left open.
Yeah.
And he sees it, and he's like, no, Doctor Strange, Mr. Sir. He's like, Peter's helping him. His plan's working, and like Doctor Strange.
I like how quick they get to it without like knowing how to word it.
What do you mean? Oh yeah. No, it was clean. No, like I said, all the dialogue just works really well here. It's really good. It's really clean. And so like Doctor Strange takes a moment. He takes it in. He's like, oh shoot, okay, it is working. That's neat, I guess. Something still needs to be done. And I think that's when he was still gonna press the button anyway, right, or something to that effect. And then so all of a sudden, like we hear the cackling, and Goblin comes, and everyone looks up at him. I'm like, oh, is everyone about to solo it? He snatches it. Doc Ock tries to stop him. He gets his arm like sawed off or something.
Yeah, and then Doctor Strange gets it back.
He gets it back, and then there's a pumpkin bomb in it. I'm like, no, and it blows up.
I love the intenseness of this.
Yeah, no, it's like the stakes have never been higher for everybody involved, and so it blows up, and I think that's their chances of leaving blows up with them. So, in the moment,
intensity of this.
Yeah, the intensity was there, and so everyone's heartbroken, and then it just for some way or another, it just turns into a 1-on-1 with Holland, Spider-Man, and Green Goblin, and like the shield at that point had fallen. The Captain America shield they were putting on Liberty had fallen. They're going at it. I mean, and dude, Peter's got beef with him. He's like intense. Yeah, he's like, you killed May. He's like, I'm gonna cross the line. I'm gonna murder you. And so, dude, they get into it. It's visceral again. It's like boom, boom. It's like all hands. They're fighting. He's webbing them, whipping them.
He knows how to box,
bro. They're boxing. They're straight boxing, bro. The both of them are going at it.
Dude, that was amazing.
You really like that?
That it was just different.
Yeah.
I'd
never seen so much hand to hand. Well, usually with Peter, it's all abilities and powers and webs, but I've never seen so much like melee at work. Yeah, just
especially for Spider-Man.
Especially like I've never seen that much. Like that's crazy.
Because like there was a little bit in the first Spider-Man with Tobey
like
Maguire.
In the cage and stuff, or just in general.
Well, just in general, but yeah, like.
But yeah,
not to this
level.
No,
it's always been web swinging.
Not paid attention to.
Yeah, the detail was all there. And this goes back to what I said earlier. He is powerful when he stops pulling his punches, bro. He made a dent. Yeah. Boom! It was like a bell in that thing, and I was like, dude, this guy's trying to kill this guy, and he's getting in it. He's laying into him, and dude, Maguire sees it. Garfield sees it, and like they're like, this kid's about to end Goblin's life, like straight up. And bro, he even picks up the glider. It's all slow and dramatic. I'm like, bro, he's about to murder his ass.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's in his bloodlust is in his eyes. And sure enough, how did you feel about Toby jumping in and stopping him, man? Like that right there.
It made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense for him because
he's seeing
he knows what Peter's going through.
Yeah, he really does.
And he knows that he's supposed to come out.
Yeah. Yeah, and he knows he's better than that, despite everything. Despite everything that's happened, he's better than that. And he doesn't want to see him go down that path. And it's good. I'm glad that they're there to guide him, because Peter at some point one day is probably gonna have to do the same for Miles. Like it's really that healthy lineage, despite all the unhealthy in their life. It's like they're really trying to do better for the next person, trying to help people. It's what they do. And so man, he stops him, and Peter like he comes back to his senses. I love how much of this is not like just corny, you're better than this dialogue, Peter. Like they just share an intense eye-to-eye moment for like a solid 5 to 10 seconds, and then Peter puts the glider down. I'm like, bro, what is this? Like, what do we do to deserve this caliber of live-action Spider-Man? Right. Like I'm telling you, bro, the bar has never been.
It took every character serious.
That's what I'm saying. And even when it poked fun at people, it was like with respect, and like it was like
Mhm.
it wasn't punching too high, it wasn't punching too low. It was just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right amount of jabs.
It knew what the ridiculousness of the situations were.
And the ridiculousness of Spider-Man past and like the way those films address certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It knew what
yeah.
everything called for, and it gave just the right amount of reverence to every little detail. You know, whether it was comedy or
Mhm.
drama. And so I feel like I've never seen someone take Spider-Man seriously like this before. Like
Yeah, it was
it was
amazing.
really good. It was so candid. I loved it. They have that
Yeah.
great moment, and then boom, it's just a backstabbing Goblin. He's like, he makes the same point he's been making every time he's been evil Goblin in the movie. He's like, when the moment you show restraint is the moment someone like me strikes, and
Yep.
like so Maguire's down, he's bleeding out or
Yep.
whatever. I'm like, man, his
He's
back,
been stabbed before.
he has been stabbed before. He even said it himself. And then
Yeah.
finally, freaking quarterback Maguire or no, Garfield
Garfield.
launches that little device.
Yep.
Peter injects it in a Goblin. It doesn't seem to do anything, or does it? No, it brings him back.
No,
It
no,
brings
it
him
does.
back.
It brings it back.
Well, how come it failed the first time with May? Remember that when she injected
It
him?
wasn't the right antidote.
Is that what it
They
was?
didn't finish it.
Oh, they didn't finish the dosage or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Okay, I missed that. I was like, why didn't it work?
Because his spider sense went off when they were working on it.
I see. I see. That's interesting. I thought that was
I'm pretty
because
sure
of.
that's how.
I thought the spider sense went off because of Goblin's intensity. His aura changed. It changed from like not menacing to menacing with evil intent.
Right, yeah, but that was I think that was at the time that they were on the formula.
And it was finishing up. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. That's true. Maybe it was a 2-dose thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
But
It's not
who
bad.
cares? It happened how it happened. And
We need to see it
we
again.
definitely
though,
see it.
'cause
Bro, if you're
it's-
trying to
it
go
was
before I
great.
leave, let's go see it again. Let's do it. We're getting off here. But no. So he backstabs him or whatever. They finally administer the antidote, or maybe they do, they don't. I don't remember how exactly it shook down. But he's back to normal
Yeah.
at some point. At some point. And they did it. I mean, they saved the day, but at what cost? You know,
Right.
everyone's still stuck there. And Peter's like, I gotta do something about this. And he's like, MJ, Ned, y'all good? They're like, we're good. And he's like, I gotta see. He goes to see Strange, and Strange is like, he's like, I can't hold this back much longer. He's trying to prevent everyone else. And we see not spoilers. We see teasers for people across the Spider-Verse. Like we see
Yeah.
Rhino, we see Kraven the Hunter for sure. I saw someone in
Yep.
that garb. Did I miss
Mhm.
anyone? Those are the two big ones they flashed, obviously.
Those were the ones that I
There
noticed.
was other silhouettes and stuff, but they were
Yeah,
too vague,
yeah.
and it was not enough time for me to actually guess who it was. We'll go
Mhm.
back and rewatch. But dude, spoilers on Easter eggs, on teasers, on everything. This movie was jam packed. Like
Dude.
every frame mattered, every second mattered. And so Peter finally comes up with the ingenious idea to like, he's like, what about that spell? Just make everyone forget who I am. Everyone. He's like, would it work? And Strange was like, well, it would work, but Peter, none of this would have like essentially mattered. He's like, it's all gone. Peter's like, I have to do it. You know, like what else? That would send him back. I have to do it.
Mhm.
So Peter talks to Strange, and he
Mhm.
basically figures out that the only way for everything to go back to normal, to be fixed, is for everyone to forget who he is. That way, the people coming through the portal don't have a reason to, or whatever
Right.
logic plot that way out of it, and it's gonna fix everything. And he's like, all right, I'll do it, Peter. Like, go say your goodbyes. You don't have much time. And man, it is heartbreaking again. He tells MJ and Ned the situation. They both understand the full gravity of it, but man, just as things were getting good, MJ is like, she understands what it means. She's like, there's no other way. Like, we can't workshop this. Like, he's like, I have to do it. I have to do it. I won't forget y'all. I'll come back for y'all. Drops the I love you bomb. It's heartbreaking. I'm tearing up again too. And Peter's about to say it too, and she's like, no,
Yeah.
you can tell me when you find me again. And he's like, I swear I will. Da 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 da. They have that dramatic kiss. They don't cut it with the joke. They let it sit. They earn that
Yep.
kiss. You know, throughout the whole movie, they couldn't really get one, so they made this one
Mhm.
count. It was great. And
yeah.
he says his goodbyes essentially, and that's it, bro. Strange does it. Everyone disappears. They all like flash away and stuff. I miss all the moments. All the moments between the Spider-Man worked really well. And Garfield's "I love you." The little
it
thing
was
at the
great.
end when Peter's he doesn't have the words or the cognitive ability at the moment to express his gratitude to them and everything they did to help him. And they're like, don't
Right.
even worry about it. It's what we do. And like I was like, oh man, it was good. It was good stuff. It was good juju.
Yeah, it was great.
And that's it, man. And then like
Yeah.
it's like it wouldn't be a Spider-Man movie without a funeral. I mean, I know we didn't see it, but it's him at a grave. It's close enough. And
True.
he's there to see May, and then he bumps into Happy, and obviously Happy doesn't know who he is. He's like, I knew her through Spider-Man. Da 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 da. I'm like, man, everyone really forgot who this kid was. Like that spell really worked. Even J. Jonah Jameson. It's
Yep.
like he's a coward, hides behind a mask. Da 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 da. And I was like, man, I love this. Like it's such a good. I don't want to call it cop out, but it's a good way to write your way out of this corner you wrote yourself into. You got the satisfaction of giving audiences what they wanted for maybe 20 years, whether they knew it or they didn't. You know what I mean? and then they still get to reset the sandbox, and it makes sense, and we get to see a new chapter of Peter going forward.
Right. Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Now we get independent Peter Parker.
Literally, he's broke again. No, bye bye, Mr. Stark and his money and his tech. Just aside from the suit, that's it. And then
dude, his suit,
his new suit, dude. I think that's the most
looks exactly like the comic.
I was about to say, I think that's the most comic accurate Superman. I mean,
the shine on the blue.
The shine is perfect, dude. It looks so clean. It's like it looks like a classic car, dude. It looks good. I saw it and I was like, yo, this is what's up. All right, I'm with it. Let's see it. And yeah, man, it's just he's out there. He's got the little crappy apartment that we're used to from the Raimi trilogy. Like, he's really on it, man. He says he's really doing the thing.
Don't be letting your rent.
He's gonna rent. I thought it was Mr. Dickovich or whatever. Did they get him back? But he's probably ancient at this point. But he's like, yeah, rent's due on the 1st. Don't be late. I was like, man, we're about to get into some college Spider-Man stuff. And then it does that, and you know he's webbing. And then we can't forget that one moment before he does the suit and all that. Where he goes to see MJ and subsequently Ned, who's there at the little donut shop she works at. And of course, they don't remember him. And he looks really nervous. He looks like he has a note prepared to explain everything in his hands. At least that's what I gathered from it. And he's going to give it to MJ. And there's this they have a really poignant moment together. And he's really struggling with what to say and how to say it. And and he's like, he doesn't know if he wants to say too much or let it be natural. And there's a part of me, they played it so well. There's a part of me that made me, because it can go either way. We think he's going to take it slow and let it be natural, them coming together and being all at MIT together or whatever, right? There's a part of me when he's tearing up and looking at her and he sees the cut on her forehead, thinking like maybe she'd be better off not knowing him. Yeah. And that messed with me because I'm like, of course he's not gonna do that. Like he needs a love interest, right? But like at the same time, what if part of him made that departure and like let it go for a movie? You know what I mean? Like and just thinking that's what's best. Of course, I don't think he's gonna do that, but like that moment had to go by in his head. Like I think I saw it flicker. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely
especially
saw that
with putting
too,
the note away. Because like that's too vague, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that was played really good, and that's why I was saying in the non-spoiler review is like, Holland really like, my God, man,
dude, just everybody's acting was good. His stood out the most. Yeah, he amazing.
Carried this film, and the film didn't need to be carried. Quite frankly, the talent, everyone was great. Everyone was great. MJ was. Everybody was great. Everyone was great. But my God, when we needed him to be Spider-Man number 1, he was Spider-Man 1. Dude. I was like, and he feels like he really is coming into his own. He's done relying on other people as much, you know, in terms of being like coddled like a baby. You know what I mean? He doesn't mind asking for help. There's nothing wrong about that. But he's not afraid to try and figure things out for himself in the moment. He has to try and like, think things through now. He's maturing right in front of our eyes. Our little Spider-Man's growing up, big guy. And man, it's great to see.
This felt like the most Spider-Man movie,
literally,
of any Spider-Man.
And not just because there's
movie.
Spider-Man in it. No, it felt like yes, the most Spider-Man I've ever seen.
Yeah, it felt like a episode, or it felt similar to the feel of the '90s cartoon.
Yeah, how homely that felt, or how like no, I agree. That is the closest to it. I think I felt. Yeah. And I like,
especially when they got into the multiverse,
the weeds of it all. I just really like the tone in general. Like I hope, like they don't mind keeping it light and fun in the future movies, which they probably will. They'll probably take a little break from like the serious gruff and sadness stuff like that. But I don't mind it being serious when it needs to be. Like I think that's really what makes the comical moments all that better, and like the deeper moments all that deeper. It's like they're not afraid to play both and play it straight in the moment if you have to. And if you want to undercut it with a joke, that's fine, but it has to be earned. Kind of like the Ned stuff.
Right.
Like, okay, that's fine. Like, it wasn't that big of a moment. They were just having lovey-dovey. Like, at the end, when they earned it, it wasn't cut. You know what I mean? Like, they actually let the kiss ring through. Stuff like that. That's just one example. Like, the serious and the comedy.
Yeah, well, I like how it was like a progression.
Yeah, it was. It got closer and closer each time and all that stuff. And especially with the I Love You stuff, too.
Yeah. Pretty much with everything that they had.
There was a progression. Yeah, so there was even solid character development throughout the whole thing. Yeah. But then it's crazy how they're back to square one. They kind of have to play that up all over again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm ready for it. Do you think him and Ned are going to be as besties? Like, they're going to get on like nothing? Like, they still have to meet again.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think they might play with him being a villain. I think
especially
they might like to do that.
They called it out so clearly. Like, I'll never try and kill you.
Yeah. Because, like, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
He said that would be really interesting to
They reset the parameters, everything. All that might be coming to an end, man. That's crazy. So all this to say, man, solid film. There was like a little post-credit teaser, of course, or mid-credit teaser, first of all, with Venom, and he's literally getting like an explainer of the MCU.
Yeah,
he's like
the most ridiculous.
From a bartender. And he's not having any of
Yeah.
it. What? Alien? He's like stones. Aliens don't like stones. They're like brains. And he's like, you're insulting me. Like my family got blipped for 5 years. Yeah, by this purple alien. And Venom's all like, we're drunk. We're drunk. And then sure enough, he gets like kind of like unblipped back to his universe, the Sonyverse. And then a part of him stays on the table, and the whole crowd's like, "Oh, Venom coming back!" And I think that's
how is that possible? I don't understand.
Being vague, so we can maybe make more money down the line. That's how that's possible, Big A. Oh, but you mean within the confines of the play? I think that if he really was that drunk, and the part of him that slipped off wasn't necessarily sentient, like maybe it was a dormant part of Venom, goo. I think that's how they could explain it. Like it doesn't really remember anything for a minute. Like it has to kind of manifest a little bit, and maybe it finds its way to Peter. We'll get that in the next movie or two.
Okay.
Because maybe he'll have his own little Spider-Man 3 moment with it, where like it's just him and the symbiote. But do you think the symbiote's gonna remember everything? Like it says it has a hive mind of like millions of years, right? The symbiote should remember everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It should.
So that's gonna be interesting how they tackle that or not. Because I like how Eddie was like, maybe I should go meet this guy in New York.
Yeah. Because that was the interesting thing about Venom is that he had a personality.
Yeah.
Compared to what he was in Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I like how he's playing in the background still, and not necessarily like was ham-fisted in for the final fight or anything, because that's not doing him enough justice in terms of playing with like him and Spider-Man. They need their own movie together. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad they kept just teasing it, and hopefully we get it in one of these trilogies. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I'm not sure. It's gonna how shake out with that new trilogy, bro. Dude, if Holland plays his cards right, he's got like 100 mil in his future, like in the next couple of 10 years, with like 5 or 6 or 7 films. He could do another trilogy. He could do 1 or 2 standalones with Venom, and then he could be in like Avengers 5 and or 6 if he's still relevant by then. If Miles hasn't taken over by then, dude, that's like at least 7 or 8 films. 100 mil in his bank, bro. And literally, like, you know what was funny? It's like it was almost fourth wall breaky. Like at the top of the film, you are literally the most famous guy in the world. I'm like, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's literally dude, top Spider-Man.
It was funny.
This guy's a multi-billion-dollar entity. IP. Everybody loves Spider-Man. I was telling you at the theater, look at everyone who's coming out, man. All shapes and sizes, colors, races, everything. Everybody loves Spider-Man, man. It's crazy. I love Spider-Man, Big A.
So do I.
Yeah, I think it was a long time coming.
I grew up on Spider-Man.
I think we all did. And I remember I was like, dude, from all the way from Raimi days. There's all the fan service too I was missing. Of course, we got to my back. I think Garfield made some other joke that I forgot. But yeah, Garfield's stuff was funny too. Remember when he had like that little identity crisis? He was like, man, I'm worthless. And like, and sincerely, Maguire was like, no. And him and Holland were like, no. You have value.
Yeah, I liked how everybody was like supportive.
That was so
like within themselves.
Yeah, that was so neat. Like, because this could have been easy to have him be the punching bag. It could have been real easy. I mean, he kind of was for most of the movie, but it worked in like in the moments that it worked, you know. And it was really nice to see him be supportive. And he's the poor guy. He's been through so much. Garfield's Spider-Man. He was like, "I love you guys," and they're like, "Thanks," like because they weren't feeling that in the moment.
Right.
So good. It was so good. This movie was so good. I'll let it simmer. We have to go see it again. Like, period. We have to go see it again. We have to. But man, this is, dude, rankings MCU films is way up there. Like top 5 easily, bro.
Right now,
I'm riding high on it.
Talking about it, I'm feeling it 10.
Top 10?
But
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
No.
Oh, you mean the score?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, dude. Easily. I was talking about rankings of MCU films. I was saying top 5. Well, we'll think about it. I don't know. It depends on. The rankings are getting difficult because is it standalone? Is it crossover?
Yeah.
Is it, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. But as far as the film goes, yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
I don't know. Do you think
it counts as an MCU film?
Your opinions on the Sam Raimi trilogy
affected this?
Andrew Garfield movie affect how you feel?
This one?
This one?
Yes. And let me tell you why. There's so much necessary context that you need to understand to get this one. Well, I mean, not to get it. I mean, it can all be, it is all explained in the movie. Like, you don't have to see the first 5 if you didn't want to, or the first 7 if you want to see every Spider-Man to now, or everything in the universe. but you do appreciate it a lot more if you have seen it. And whether you liked or hated those first movies, you still understood what you understood from them. You still got
Yeah.
what happened, whether you liked it or not.
Right.
And
right.
this movie does a good job of addressing everything, in a pretty like not tongue in cheek way, but like we knew what we did. You know what I mean? Sony's like we knew what we did.
I think it kind of corrected some of the
Yes, it did.
the mistakes.
It did corrected some
previously.
mistakes. It acknowledged some mistakes, and
Mhm.
it gave these guys like a really nice bookend to leave their trilogies on, or you know what I mean, like some nice
Yeah.
needed closure that we didn't necessarily get. What we did, what we didn't. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it kind of gave them all a second chance to just redo everything. Really, I mean, I know like half these people were dead coming into the movie, right? Half these villains,
Yeah.
but they all got a chance to shine again. And it was just really well done. So yeah, to answer your question, it did affect how I felt about this movie, but not for better or for worse, but purely for contextual reasons. But it made me, I will say, it made me enjoy it a lot more because I had all this context and all these feelings about Doc Ock. Like I still think Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest like standalone superhero films of all time. I think it was really well done. It's a comic book brought to life to me, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Even with the campiness, I thought it was great. And there wasn't much of
Yeah.
it, but it was for its time. It was really solid. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the
I think
nostalgia
so.
was there. I watched it the other day. I still got more out of it from like the more character-driven aspects and moments from it. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is still really good today. Like it still holds up. So it was great. It knew what it was, and this movie knows what that was. But it allows them to play in this universe by our standards, by our 2021 standards. You know what I mean? And so it just made it all the more better, in my opinion. Yeah. Man, we can go on and on. There's a Multiverse of Madness trailer at the end. It was straight up just like a trailer at the end.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
just
it
a
was a
straight
trailer.
That wasn't just a scene.
The last time they did that was the Avengers trailer
At the end of
at the end of I think
was it Thor?
was it
I think-
Thor or was it Captain America?
I think Thor was America. Pretty sure. If it wasn't Thor, it was Captain America. But it was like a straight trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, we haven't seen like a whole ass trailer in a minute. That was weird. I was expecting just a scene. I was like, there's too many cuts here. What's with the music? What is this? It's like whole scenes here.
That was cool.
That was really cool. It looks like they're about to get real trippy real quick.
Yeah, straight
And
up.
I'm excited to see us leave this universe and go across the multiverse, obviously, and see how Doctor Strange handles everything with Wanda. Because I think last time I heard there was gonna be like he was supposed to be like the villain or at some point or one of the villains in that movie. So I think there's gonna be some twists and some turns, maybe some power loss. I don't know. I'm just saying like it's about to get wonky real quick, Big Apple, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, we got Doctor Strange versus Doctor.
Dude, yeah, and if you've seen What If, I think it's
there's
him.
another villain? Do you think there's like
Mephisto?
I'm
just kidding.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because no, there's Christian Bale. He's
No, that's in Thor. He's Gore the Godbusher. No. It's supposed to be the villains that they're. Let me lower our voices. All right. The villains that they're teasing are. It's just like evil Doctor Strange, and I think I saw him in What If. Wasn't he like the one who got trapped in that universe?
right. Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
full deep end Doctor Strange. I think it's got to be him. And if it's not him, well.
But do you think there's another villain?
Well, what about not Caecilius? Remember was it Mordo? Was that his name?
Baron Mordo?
Baron Mordo?
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah, he was in
there.
there.
He was like, he's like, I told you, Strange. Like, the biggest villain is.
But do
you.
you think he's a villain, or you think he's more like?
I feel like he's a hero of his own story, but I mean, we could say that about all villains. But I think that his whole deal was, he knew that like Stephen Strange was okay. So, long story short, I think Doctor Strange is the villain of his own story in Doctor Strange 2.
It sounds pretty cool.
And then, yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of madness going on in this multiverse.
Definitely.
My parents got to get to bed, so we're gonna wrap this up. But let's say bye, Mike. Goodbye. All right. For Media Munchers, I'm Nathan.
And I'm Adrian.
And we're gonna catch you next time.